Hey team, the topic of this video is a topic and subject that I was highly interested in and that I'm still very interested in as I train at 47 versus when I was 15 and I first started training, and that is how to reduce lactic acid while running. Running aerobically, going out and running very relaxed, we're not really stressing the energy systems of the body, and we're able to run for very large and very long amounts of time because there's very minimal amounts of lactic acid buildup, and the body can effectively clear it faster than it's building up. As we run faster, we build up more inflammation. We obviously produce a much higher amount of lactic acid, and it's actually the hydrogen ion, it's a component of lactic acid, which shuts down temporarily muscle functioning in the body. So in order to run more effectively, run more efficiently, and sustain goal race pace longer, we have to stress the energy systems of the body effectively each week. And the only way to really reduce lactic acid while running is to, again, train at paces that are so much faster than we're planning on running at our goal race pace. Okay, that's one way of many ways of doing that. Obviously, controlling your breathing, staying as relaxed as you can, as I always talk about in other videos. There was a 1994 study that showed that athletes who maintained breathing exercises extended their athletic performance without an increase in lactic acid levels. So it is very, very important to really continue to focus on staying as relaxed as you can in training, especially when you're running at faster paces, because again, the more tension, the more muscle tension, the more mental tension that you're feeling, the harder it is going to feel in the race. And it's just one example. For a simple and straightforward breathing technique, you want to inhale slowly through your nose and exhale through your mouth as you run. Some athletes feel much more comfortable breathing through their mouth while they're racing or while they're running just relaxed or running at faster paces. For me, I breathe out of my mouth. Some athletes feel better as they're breathing through their noses. So again, do what you feel most comfortable with in terms of your own training. Lactic acid buildup and dealing with that is definitely a challenge for all of us as middle to long distance runners. I also want to mention magnesium. Either a magnesium supplement that will help prevent muscle soreness as you're training as well. A lot of athletes are running very low on magnesium, and even if you consume a lot of caffeine or maybe you're a coffee drinker, I would recommend in terms of getting to a point where you can maximize the amount of lactic acid, your ability to clear lactic acid more effectively, and making sure that you're not becoming deficient on magnesium, is to take some form of magnesium supplement. Okay, increasing your magnesium intake is going to help prevent muscle soreness as well as muscle spasm, increase your energy sources in the muscle, and it's also going to help the cells provide that oxygen transport throughout the body. I also talk about in other videos the importance of potentially considering glutathione supplementation. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant, and a lot of athletes run very low on that, as well as iron. Okay, we lose iron through sweat, through foot strike hemolysis. So every time your foot strikes the ground, the red blood cells below your feet burst. Females lose iron through menstruation. So it's a lot of things that both male and females don't necessarily always think about in terms of how to clear lactic acid and how to deal with lactic acid while running more effectively. And just keeping these things in mind, your magnesium, making sure you're high on that, making sure you're at optimal levels for iron as well as glutathione. If you drink sodas or you have coffee, you do want to make sure that you're not running low on magnesium, because that is very, very key. Another great thing about magnesium is it helps to defeat daily stress, fatigue, and exhaustion. And we all deal with fatigue and stress through training, especially running at very high anaerobic efforts. You're building up more inflammation. So again, you want to make sure that you have proper amounts of protein intake, magnesium, iron, glutathione. All of these play a critical role in oxygen transport throughout the body and cellular health. Okay, if you're running low on any of these types of nutrients, it is very likely that even if you're in phenomenal anaerobic and aerobic shape, you're still not going to perform at a very high level because you're running low on these other areas. And these are just some of the things that that will help you if you focus on improving these areas of your training and your preparation. They're definitely going to help you run more effectively. Warm up and stretching. Okay, make sure you are doing this. Stretching will boost circulation. It's going to increase your flexibility. It's going to soothe tension that you're dealing with. It's also going to bring more oxygen to your muscles. And doing that will help reduce lactic acid production and ease your muscles of any type of buildup of lactic acid, especially after the race and prior to the race. Okay, it's also strongly recommended to stay hydrated before you run, which again you can accomplish with hydrogen supplements. Stay hydrated prior to, during, and most definitely after the run. Get a Cliff Bar in you, any type of sports bar, some bananas, some fruits in you, no later than 30 minutes after a hard workout. And in terms of how lactic acid is produced, your body fuels your muscles through a process called glycolysis, and that's when it breaks down glucose and produces adenosine triphosphate. Okay, adenosine triphosphate is what your muscles use as fuel, but the amount of ATP generated from glycolysis depends on whether oxygen is present during glycolysis. And so the faster we run, the more oxygen that's required, the higher amount of lactic acid buildup is produced. And again, that hydrogen ion, the component of lactic acid that temporarily shuts down muscle functioning, is the real culprit for why we cannot sustain very high intense efforts for several hours. It take if you're in great physical fitness, you can usually hold extremely aggressive VO2 max type efforts for anywhere from several seconds to several minutes, depending on how fast you're running. You also want to make sure that as you run at faster paces, we're recruiting more fast twitch muscle fibers. The more of these we can recruit, the greater capacity we're going to have to use oxygen more efficiently, more effectively. Okay, so if you're like when you're lifting heavy weights or pushing your cardio limits, the demand of ATP is very, very high, and your oxygen levels are going to be very low because there's so much more oxygen that's going to be required for you to be able to do those very fast, explosive type activities. That is key. That's why your recovery is also essential in terms of the fitter you get anaerobically, the easier race pace is going to feel, and the more effective your body is going to be at clearing lactic acid more effectively. And you're going to be much more efficient at clearing it faster than it's building up. Remember, lactate is produced normally by certain cells, and it's a byproduct of anaerobic glucose metabolism. So the cause of the muscle burn you're feeling and the fatigue you're dealing with is basically a byproduct of metabolic process called lactate, not lactic acid. Okay, and those are stubborn, hydrogen ions, which I mentioned earlier. Lactate is a biomarker of fatigue. Okay, it's a glucose breakdown, so it's not actually the cause of muscle fatigue. In fact, lactate plays a major role in cellular processes, such as the heart and brain. It's also the preferred energy source. So, as I talk about in other videos, it's very important to teach the body to burn fat at race pace and conserve glycogen, because we have much less glycogen storage than we do fat storage. So, your kidneys and liver, they convert lactate into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. And that process allows your body to use the glucose for energy. So the burn that you're feeling, that fatigue that you're dealing with when you're maxed out on a performance, is a result of the circulating hydrogen ions that are left over in your cells. And those hydrogen ions create an acidic environment and produce bioproducts of muscular metabolism. So that's a lot of technical terms, but it's again, the faster we run, the more inflammation it's built up, the more oxygen it's required. So as you train at very, very fast paces, when you don't have to run that fast and you're running very relaxed, that's why that pace is going to feel so much easier. If you're training at 3K to 5K race pace and you're doing that once, maybe twice per week, think about after you've adapted to that, how much easier relaxed pace is going to feel. Obviously, that's going to feel extremely easy, but think about how much easier race pace is going to feel and how much more effective you're going to be at clearing lactic acid as you're running at faster paces. Even when you're running at slower paces, you'll be much better equipped to clear it more effectively, and that's going to help you run more effectively, run more confidently, and set a new personal best in your race. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Feel free to leave me a comment below. Check out the resources below these videos as well. They're definitely there to help you get to the next level. So I wish you guys and gals all the very best in your training, and I will talk to you all in the next video.